Hey everyone, let's dive right into today's explainer. We are looking at something that honestly impacts almost everything we do, yet so few of us actually look under the hood: the credit ecosystem. Today, we're exploring a really fascinating duality. We're going to look at the incredibly powerful legal rights you hold on paper as a consumer, but we're also going to confront the complex, historically rooted realities of the system those rights exist within. It's a massive topic, so let's get into it. Here's our game plan. First, knowing your credit rights. Second, the hidden racial divide. Third, the roots of the wealth gap. And finally, number 4, reforming the credit system.
All right, jumping right into part 1, knowing your credit rates and specifically navigating the FCRA.
So, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or FCRA. This law establishes the absolute rules of the game for fairness and privacy. You aren't just at the mercy of the credit bureaus here, you've got real power. You have the absolute right to know exactly what is in your file. See something wrong? You can dispute it, and agencies generally have 30 days to fix or delete anything they can't verify. Plus, there's a 7-year limit on how long most negative information can drag you down, giving you a chance for a totally fresh start. Oh, and you can even block those annoying pre-screened credit card offers that constantly clog up your mailbox. Now, you might be thinking, that's great, but what if I can't afford to keep checking my report? Well, the law actually builds in a financial safety net. Everyone gets one free disclosure a year anyway, but if you're in a vulnerable spot, say you were just denied a loan, or you're dealing with identity theft, on public assistance, or currently unemployed and looking for work, the FCRA guarantees you can check your status without paying a single dime. And the crazy thing is, this isn't exactly a newly discovered issue. Way back in 1969, Senator William Proxmire recognized that bad credit creates what he called a vicious cycle of economic exclusion. He pointed out that when people are systematically locked out of mainstream credit, they're forced to rely on predatory lenders who charge exorbitant prices. And honestly, that history provides the perfect pivot for where we're going next. Which brings us to Section 2, the hidden racial divide. Let's transition from your rights on paper to how this actually plays out in the real world. To really understand this, we're relying on a massive, comprehensive report from the National Consumer Law Center, or NCLC. Their core argument is super interesting. They say that while credit reporting is supposed to be this entirely objective, mathematical thing, the scoring mechanisms actually inherently bake in and perpetuate past discrimination.
Just let the numbers do the talking for a second. Looking at data from 2021, the NCLC highlights a stunning gap. The median Vantage score for white consumers was 730, for Latino consumers, 673, and for Black consumers, it was 639. That is nearly a 100-point gap between white and Black consumers. The NCLC argues this proves that a supposedly objective system is just reflecting severe inequalities that are already baked into our society.
But wait, it goes even deeper. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau found that communities of color are significantly more likely to be entirely credit invisible. We're talking about 15% of Black and Latino consumers lacking a credit history entirely, compared to just 9% of white and Asian consumers. So millions of people are literally locked out of the mainstream financial system before they can even play the game. And a huge driver of this is the racial wealth gap. The typical white family has a median wealth of about $285,000. In stark contrast, the typical Latino family has about $61,600. That's just 20% of the white median. And for Black families, it's roughly $44,900, a mere 15%. The NCLC makes the point that without resources to cushion a financial catastrophe, like a sudden job loss or a medical emergency, people of color are at a massive structural disadvantage. It's like trying to walk a financial tightrope without a safety net.
So, where did this gap come from? Let's hit Section 3, Roots of the Wealth Gap. The NCLC is clear that this didn't just happen by accident.
If we trace this chronologically, it's wild how it compounds. Starting in the 1930s, you had FHA redlining explicitly depriving Black communities of wealth accumulation through homeownership. At the same time, early New Deal safety nets intentionally excluded agricultural and domestic workers, fields heavily populated by people of color. Fast forward to 2007, and predatory mortgages were heavily targeting those exact same communities. And today, the NCLC points to the completely disproportionate financial burdens of fines and fees from the criminal legal system that just continuously drain resources. To put the sheer scale of this damage into perspective, look at this number: $400 billion. That is the amount of wealth wiped out from communities of color during the 2007 to 2008 foreclosure crisis alone. That level of catastrophic loss translates directly into decimated credit scores for millions of families. Now, here is a term you absolutely need to know: mission creep. Credit scores were originally designed to do one thing: predict if you'll be 90 days late on a loan. That's it. But today, they've morphed into this absolute gatekeeper for non-credit necessities. They determine if you can get hired, what your car insurance costs, and whether some automated algorithm will let you rent an apartment. The NCLC points out a fascinating irony here. Remember during the COVID-19 pandemic, national credit scores actually went up. Why? Because of government financial support. People's internal sense of responsibility didn't magically increase overnight, their resources did. The report argues forcefully that penalizing someone for an apartment application because of a low score is punishing them for lacking resources, not for being fundamentally irresponsible. Okay, so we've looked at the flaws. How do we fix the ecosystem? That brings us to our final section, reforming the credit system. The NCLC actually proposes a really aggressive, multi-pronged approach to fix this. First up, stop the mission creep. They want to strictly ban the use of credit info for rental housing and insurance. Next, restrict risk-based pricing and expand special purpose programs designed specifically to increase credit access for underserved communities. Finally, they want a major reduction in how long negative information haunts your report. Think about it. The FCRA currently sets a 7-year limit for most negative info and up to 10 years for bankruptcies. But the NCLC argues there's actually no scientific or mathematical magic to the number 7. Other countries have much shorter limits. By shortening the penalty to a maximum of 3 years, they argue we could drastically reduce that vicious cycle and let people actually recover and participate in the economy again. And we've got to talk about interest rates. To tackle risk-based pricing, the NCLC recommends a hard cap on interest rates, saying they shouldn't exceed 36% for small loans. By doing this, we stop lenders from using lower credit scores as an excuse to trap historically marginalized folks in these exorbitant, unpayable loans that just make everything worse. So, I want to leave you with this final thought for today's explainer. Yes, you have powerful individual rights under the Fair Credit Reporting Act, and you should absolutely use them to protect yourself. But zoom out for a second. Ask yourself, should a measurement tool that perfectly reflects and effectively bakes in centuries of historical inequality continue to be the ultimate gatekeeper dictating our future opportunities? Understanding the rules of the game is crucial, but questioning the playing field itself, that's the real first step toward a fairer ecosystem. Thanks for diving into this with us. Keep learning and use this knowledge to your advantage.